struggle with anxiety, my struggle with depression, my struggle with just the ups and downs of it is real. Why women, are day drinking. Welcome to Because Adulting is Hard, where we bring light and a fun outlook to everyday life situations and struggles.
Round of applause for that intro. Finally getting it after the fifth time. And all right.
Look, now you're winning the lottery too. Now they're going to get to see what
I had to play with the soundboard.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. All right. So why don't you tell us what Because Adulting is Hard means and how you came and formed it?
Okay. So Because Adulting is Hard, Garrett and I have been talking about this a lot. It is probably the rawest, realest thing that you're going to see out of me. I've done a lot of marketing for the Funky Monkey. I've done a lot of social media. It's kind of my thing. But Because Adulting is Hard really came out of a very, very raw, very rough place because I own a gift store. And as a gift store, a brick and mortar gift store in this day and time, it is a very, very hard industry to be in. It's not only a hard industry to be in, but it's a dying industry, actually. Even before the corona, we used to have a saying at my store that we are a gift store in the day of Amazon. You can put something on people's doorstep the next day. And so for me, in probably October-ish of 2018, I was driving. Clay and I were in the car. My husband Clay and I were in the car, and I saw on the back of a car a hashtag, and it said it had the acronym "Stay Sexy, Don't Be Stupid." So I went and followed these girls, and I thought that's a really cool podcast theme. They came up and they look at murders and they do things like that, and I was like, and they used a hashtag to do that, and I was thinking, I am about to lose the Funky Monkey. It's happening. There's trade tariffs coming in. I have pushed this beast real fast. I had no idea from a business standpoint what that looked like. Actually, I've got a really great guy named Trey Hill that I look up to a lot that said something one time. He said, you can be $1 million business and not make a dime. And that is a true to God fact. And that's kind of where we were with the Funky Monkey. It was a very large increase in inventory that we took in a time that we were looking at 27% trade tariffs. And inventory buying for me, that's a very, very tedious, very meticulous task. And that is not my strong suit. And the Funky Monkey had quite frankly grown faster than I knew that I had the business knowledge to do something with it. So I was really in a dark place thinking, I am about to lose this thing. And I don't even have a career backup because I pulled my retirement to buy this bad boy. And this is my all in. So at that time, I kind of came up with that thought.
Let me just pause on that real quick and moderate, because that is something that a lot of people cannot grasp of why or what, just who would want to do that. But here you are making your business happen, and it's now thriving on the other side, on the flip side. But I think that just speaks volume to who you are and how passionate you are about this. So let's continue on this story.
And it goes a lot to what I learned in the last episode we talked about. I had educational leadership experience. Taking that knowledge that I learned from there and reflecting on my business and saying, I can shove this as fast as I want. Actually, in my office space, Garrett, when we were doing he said, what are the numbers up on the wall? And they were goal numbers that I shoved up on the wall. And one of them was $1 million. And I look at it and I tell him, look, I made $1 million in sales and I had a $250,000 loss that year. So the goal and the reality aren't always the same. And so when I really started reflecting and really started working with my staff and saying things like, they don't buy from us because of what we have. They buy from us because of who we are. Then we really fundamentally saw a shift in my store from what is the inventory that we can bring in here and shove down people's throats to we are who we are. And we're going to show people that. But more importantly, we're going to grow as a team and we're going to learn all this together and we're going to be raw and we're going to be real. Because adulting is hard.
Yeah. Okay. So talking about that growth and that rawness, let's put us back.
Okay.
2018 Christmas. Where's your mindset? How does this become?
So my hashtag, I'm a lover of short little phrases. I'm very dyslexic. So my name of my LLC is the letter Y and then fit and then in. Why fit in? Because I always told Clay, I never knew what I was ever going to do. Maybe I was going to do behavioral consulting. I was going to do something. But I like the thought of a hashtag. So we came up with the hashtag BAiH. And I started just quite frankly on my own page from a stance of extreme anxiety, of just playing with the algorithms on Facebook, of let me create things that are raw and real and kind of I'm going to call it a virtual journal almost to myself. And when you live in a world where you want your business to be successful, sometimes you just air that out there. And along the way, I've learned all kinds of things. I've lost friendships. It's put a strain on my marriage. And you just learn all manner of things, but I'm so blessed to be on this side of it and be on the side of a business that's thriving. And quite frankly, let's talk about actually, because adulting is hard now. So when I started a blanket platform. No idea what it even was going to be. I thought maybe I'll print some t-shirts. Maybe I will do a podcast one day. Maybe I will be I think it says on there, maybe I'll be a public speaker. I'll do something like that. But I really didn't know. And so let's say March of 2019, when they brought me the numbers that told me I had a $230,000 loss for the year before, I quite frankly thought, I have no idea what I'm doing. Not a clue. I mean, I can tell them I thought what I was doing. I thought I was buying to avoid some of the trade tariffs. I thought I was putting money in this. But to sit still for a year is what I had to do in my business. I had more inventory than I needed. I had companies that didn't land inventory correctly. That's a big deal. I mean, that's a big thing. And it just really threw me for a crazy loop. So I spent all of 2019, my staff call it the meditation period. I went into a period of meditation where I just kind of decided I'm going to find all natural, holistic approaches to healing my soul. We've talked a lot about, it's not a God issue. God and we are on the same page, but I had a lot of trauma from sexual abuse as a child that had gone undealt with. And it just kind of came to a head. You can only take so much anxiety at one time. You got this business, you're being a mom, you're being a parent. I'd started therapy. I'm doing all of these things. And add hormone. I had an ovary explode in there. Add hormone imbalance. And you just come up with a real raw approach to, because adulting is hard. And in March of 2019, the Texas legislature threw us a godsend and sent me CBD, sent me cannabis products that I could implement into my gift store. I actually had several people approach me about building a model for them. And my husband and my other people that I keep around me were like, don't give your ideas away. don't do them for other people. So that's kind of how we ended up here. And because Adulting is Hard has become a platform in which we are going to sell cannabis products, specifically CBD right now, but we are going to talk about really the really raw of what that looks like. Why women, are day drinking when I could teach you how to use CBD and I could teach you some other really natural things. And we're going to talk about anxiety. That it's real.
Yeah.
It's real. Anxiety, it's a real thing. And my struggle with anxiety, my struggle with depression, my struggle with just the ups and downs of it is real. And the thing that's cool about this platform that's different than the Funky Monkey platform is my customers have already seen that because that's who I've been. They've just never heard any of the backstory that goes with how does this crazy chick get on here? How do we get here? So that's what Because Adulting is Hard is about. We're going to talk about the real life struggles. And I'm not the only one. The more and more I've learned to use my voice, the more women I've talked to and the more women I've heard say did you know my uncle touched me and these things happened to me? And yeah, like for me, having a daughter, that's not an option.
Yeah.
That's not an option. And so I just really, I'm super excited with where we're going with Because Adulting is Hard. And Garrett and I, let's talk a little bit about, can I talk a little bit about that?
Yeah.
Will you talk a little bit?
I want to say something first, and that I want the listeners to know that this is not easy to stand up here and just say these things like it's no big deal, because they're huge changing points in your life, which is what this podcast is going to be all about. And actually, getting into those things. Actually,
Garrett, even before we started this, I said, I'm actually going to say some things out loud that I've never said outside of like therapy or in my head. But that's where I am in my journey, because I'm just that much healthier than I've ever been. And so I think that's really awesome. And so let's relate that to where we are now. So as we met, Garrett and I met, we're in the middle of a pandemic, a worldwide crisis. And I'm going to tell you, as a small business on the very, very front line of it, I understand that it's a huge ripple, and the ripple in the oil and gas industry and the ripple and everything is huge. And my stance from the very beginning with my business was, I mean, pretty clear. But it came out of strength from the year before that I had withstood the darkest of the dark of my personal adult life. And this was nothing to me. This is something, this is obviously a world, but for me, this wasn't the end of I've been through worse. I've healed from. So I'm super excited from the small business side, where we're also going after what we're gonna do with Because Adulting is Hard for some small businesses. We're gonna talk about why did I stay open?
Yeah.
That's a topic we're going to talk about. The answer is I'm married to an attorney.
Yeah.
if that's it. But just a real raw, and Garrett and I have talked about this. We want to know what you want to hear us talk about. We want to know.
Absolutely.
Because we're going to dive into all kinds of topics, and it's going to be purely to style, pretty spastic. Yeah, I wish y'all could have seen us trying to even.
I'm sure they've already seen us go off cusp a little bit already.
Right.
Let's, with everything that we've talked about today, I don't want to get into too specifics, because I think those topics deserve their own episodes and own talks, and we want to keep people's attention.
Absolutely.
And so, what are some ways people can get involved in this podcast? Definitely by subscribing, but then also how can they interact with Because Adulting is Hard?
So we have 3 main social media platforms. We have Facebook, we have Instagram, and we have YouTube. The easiest way is to hashtag us, BAiH. Just tag us in things that you think that are related to adulting is hard. It could be mom things, it could be life things, it could be things that actually have adulting in it. But that's the easiest way for me to interact, because quite frankly, humor is my love language. Humor is my love language. So there's hardly things that are crass, and I just like them. So the best way is literally tag us on social media with hashtag Because Adulting is Hard.
Awesome. BAiH. So people will get more content.
I think we're going to try to do this twice a week. That's the plan. Garrett and I are going to do twice a week is the plan.
I like it.
Mondays and Thursdays is the plan. We're going to try to do Mondays just so we can tell you welcome to this crazy week. And I actually don't love Mondays. So it's kind of a personal accountability for getting my whole life going on a Monday. And then I'm going to get to see you on Thursdays, which is my favorite day of the week, because the next day is Friday.
Yep.
And adulting is hard.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right. So people can hashtag, they can tag you, they can message you. I think it would definitely help both of us if you guys would also send us questions to talk about.
Absolutely. Send us things that I've met people in all walks of life. I've got students that follow me. I've got people I've taught with. So give us things to talk about. I know give us things. It would be fun. But Random Thoughts by Alita and Garrett.
Yes, that would be fun.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to share this with somebody who might benefit from our podcast. And remember to live happier, because adulting is hard.